All right, YouTube, you're going to get the Memorex version because I just don't have time to put in a live and chit chat. So sorry about that. My timeline didn't work out as I was hoping. And it's hard to find a place this time of year to get in enough shade so that the camera will hold up till we're done. It's that time of year where especially when you're in the automobile. So is everybody glad you made it to Friday? Like it seems like every week's a pending disaster, impending doom, such as it is. Man, it's like something every week. For some of you, depending on where you're located, it probably feels like that every day. You just don't know. But kind of a recap, I guess. What was it we talked about going into last weekend with the metals? And where's this fella going? Sorry, somebody pulling around behind me. But all indicators of inflation up severely, the Fed being caught in the rock at a hard place, and where we were going with the rest of the economy, and the Fed saying, hey, we might have to raise rates. And then they came out this week and saying basically, well, there's people, I should say it's more the talking heads. Well, there'll be one September, definitely 2025. Markets didn't like that this week. Kind of settling down a little bit. You know, I wouldn't call it a drop, but definitely not advancing for the most part. Everything kind of down except for the metals. As Guns Coast to Coast pointed out on one of the shorts I did earlier, copper is on fire. Copper is up like 25% since we mentioned it a couple weeks ago. In particular, when it was back around 375. Now it's up to like 420. I think it's actually 440. Just bumped way up. I think it's a like 5-year high or something like that. So all those 82 pennies you got saved up, or pre-82 pennies, got a little bit of value there. But then the last night happened. Last night being the big event that sticks front of mind, except for the Chinese hacking of the 911 systems, which could have been anything, but everybody's pointing to the FBI report, which we kind of talked about last month, of there's going to be attacks on the infrastructure. Everybody's so reliant on 911. Like 6 different states had 911 system outages a couple nights ago. I guess that would have been Wednesday night, I believe it was. And it was like, that was the big thing, hair on fire. And everything on that recovered fine, but it's one of those like, that's a warning. It's probably China, like all this talk back and forth. Who knows? But last night, Israel hits Iranian facilities. In particular, it sounded like a nuclear-related facility in retaliation for what happened last week. In particular, it was noted that it was the birthday of one of the Iranian leaders, so it's like a thumb in the eye type of deal. And initially, metals skyrocketed. Gold was well above 2,400. Silver jumped up. Copper was up. Uranium was up. Everything was up. And it was like overnight, even before the East Coast opened, everything had already settled down. Like it was already like, oh, it's no big deal. Oil didn't even get to $90. Oil was like 85 something. Now it's back down to 83 or something. Kind of odd in my mind. When the Iran has now come back and said, now we're going to hit Israel's nuclear facilities. Like, this isn't really registering in any of the market financial side. It doesn't seem like, at least what I've seen. If you have seen otherwise, let me know. So that goes back to the point what is really driving this stuff. um, but the pretense for war is what the Fed needs to ramp that money printing machine back up, and to use that as cover for their misbegotten spending. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it is odd how everything just settled out overnight after the closest thing to war you can get. A Russian bomber was shot down overnight, or yesterday, by the Ukrainians, with our equipment, of course. But something like that happening seems to prolong the war there. That doesn't seem to be coming to a swifter end, despite what seems to be a Russian offensive taking place. So, war everywhere. Wars and rumors of wars. I've heard that somewhere before. But I just take the opportunity. Gas went down like 10 cents this week here, and it cut several places. I always kept thinking, hey, fill up. You never know. Fill up after last night. Like, fill up. You never know how it's going to shake out. And it went down. And it's like, wait a second. That doesn't jive either. So what's driving those markets, right? There was talk about releasing what little is left of the Strategic National Petroleum Reserve, which seems foolish. But they've announced, I guess it was last week, they're not going to refill it or restock it. And it's like they're talking about releasing some to ease these tensions that are going on over there, like making us more and more vulnerable, you know? Interesting. So maybe that release is what's leading to some of these gas price lowerings, when the opposite you would think would be true. Many factors, but we made it through the week. We're survived. We're going to have a good weekend. We got the springtime weather. Take advantage of putting your garden in. I've got to get in on that and get some of the potatoes, carrots, stuff that can definitely still take a little cold in the ground. Dad's got his peach trees blooming with peaches, and we've got blooms, and half of them blown off now because of the wind, but we still have the potential for some cold nights, and I'm wondering what kind of fruit we'll get. We can hopefully cover them up if we get advance warning, but the spring is definitely in full swing here, and we need to get some to swinging with it, get some plants in the ground so we can have some harvest. So as much as we're thankful to survive the week, we got to get some work in. So I hope you're doing the same, YouTube. Enjoy if this is your Friday. If this is not your Friday, whenever it does roll around, I hope you enjoy it and get some of the other more important things done to do the things. And hey, prep hard, live free.